So I want to tell you about a dream that I had last Thursday. It was so I in my spirit I knew that I was going someplace to go and slay something. I knew it was spiritual. I was accompanied with another person, but I don't know who it was, and they were to my right. I when I went to this place, there was a large grass field, and in the middle of the field were like very tall stalks. I don't know if it was corn or wheat. I've never seen corn or wheat grow that tall, but it was at least 20 feet tall from what I
Wow.
could see. But before I could step onto the grass field, there was a cinder block, maybe about, I don't know, 12 inches high. And then there was a tall grass, like weeds, not weeds, reeds, excuse me. And in the natural, I am actually kind of grossed out by walking in tall grass because I can't see what's in it. And so I remember stopping and looking and thinking to myself, I can't get across this grass. No, not can't, but I was thinking about how to get across the grass, I should say. Anyway, I finally ended up over it. Don't know how. And then there was a couple there that was waiting for me and this other guest to come and slay this thing. And so I see the stalks, and all of a sudden I see a large serpent's head. It was so ginormous; it was larger than life. Now, in the natural, we know that a large serpent couldn't slither across these stalks because they're not. It's what do you call it? It's not substantial enough to hold the weight of this thing, but it was slithering towards us. And then it turned and it continued on down because the stalks went very, very long um, away from us. And when I saw the body, the girth of the snake was so wide. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, I'm supposed to slay this, but I don't know how. So there wasn't fear, but I just wondered, why was he so big and his body was even larger than his head? And I dream a lot, a lot.
Well, thank God for the dreamers. I'm glad you're one of us.
Yeah, and I dream a lot of things that actually come to pass, but this one was so puzzling, and I thought my sister was telling me, "Oh, you should go and talk to John Redenbow." So that's why I'm here.
Well, cool. Who's your sister?
She's my twin. She's my twin sister. I think she's listening, but yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Cool. So you have you're going to slay something, and it feels like a spiritual battle. You don't know if
Mhm.
it's a dragon, a snake, what it is. You're going through super tall grass. Did you say the grass was like 20 feet high?
No, the stalks
Oh, the
that I
stalk.
saw, they were stalks, yeah. Now, I just mentioned the tall grass before I was to get onto the field. There was just this field of grass, and in the middle of the grass were just these tall, like whether it's corn or wheat, but it was extremely tall. And when I eventually crossed over and the couple took me and whoever was there to slay this thing, I looked up and I saw the massive head of this serpent coming towards us, and then it just turned and continued slithering on the top of those stalks.
Okay. So the stalks was the like the grass was at the beginning of the field, and then there was a whole field of stalks, or were
Yeah,
there
so
like little?
they were like farmers, these people.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was like 20-foot corn, and were you going to have to go into the stalks?
Yeah, I assume so because I stood there thinking to myself. I mean, I was instead of being fearful, I was more amazed, like, oh my gosh, like I've never seen anything so big. And
Right.
I was thinking to myself, well, how am I gonna do that? And
Wow.
then it woke up.
And then you see a snake, and you see its head above the stalks. And what did you say about its dimensions?
Well, I mean, it's really hard to tell you, but I mean, it was. Oof, I don't know. His head was just. I mean, in diameter, I'm not really sure, but I mean, it's probably as far as my arms can. I don't know if you can't see me really, but if I were doing this, his head was probably about this large, like that.
Oh
And then
wow.
his body, the girth of his body was even larger than the head itself. It was as if he was being fattened on their farm. He was eating, and that was his territory or something. That's kind of how
Wow.
I was thinking about it when I woke up.
Wow. That's really interesting. Neil, you got anything?
Um, Obviously, it's a spiritual battle. um, the fields are ripe for the harvest. It seems like your fields are really ripe for the harvest. I mean, like beyond ripe. They've been growing for so long that they're probably 3 times what the height of a normal harvest would be. And it's a harvest for two things: for the evangelists to harvest souls, and Satan is no different. He's harvesting souls too, and he's been living on the souls of those that he's eating out of that field, and that's why he's so stinking huge. It's kind of a mixing metaphor, but Satan wanders about like a roaring lion, seeking him whom he may devour. Well, Satan's also a serpent, so it's kind of like the serpent and that lion are the same thing. I had a question on the cinder block before the field. You said there was a cinder block that you had to step either on or over, but
Yeah,
there
it
was
was.
something next to it.
Well, no, it was just imagine a field, and then there's just a barrier. So the barrier that would
Mhm.
separate this field from maybe that field. It was just a cinder block wall, a small one, maybe about 12 inches high. But
Okay.
inside of the cinder block, there was these tall like grass weeds or like reeds or something like that,
Hmm.
and it probably was no more than say 2 feet, in width
Deep.
ahead of me. And I just remember thinking like, oh yikes, I've got to step into this. And in the natural, I am like that. I don't like to walk in very tall grass. So I remember that stuck out to
Mhm.
me. Yeah. So
So
it was just a small barrier.
that's a fear of yours that you overcame. It's one of those you're overcoming fears that you have in order to fight the spiritual battle that you got to fight. And God hasn't given you a spirit of fear. And that's why when you get to the other side and you conquered your fear when you stepped across the cylinder blocks. So when you looked at that serpent, which really should have frightened you,
Hmm.
you're just amazed at its size.
Right.
You're not fearful of your life or anything. It's just like, wow, that's really impressive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the job of killing it, because that's what you're there to do, will come later. But at first, the first step that you had to take was to get over your fear, and you did. And as a warrior, you're out to slay things, and fear doesn't have a part of that.
Wow. Well, you know what? That makes a lot of sense because yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you. That makes, yeah.
So armor up. Ephesians 16, put on the full complement of the gospel armor every day, because we're in a spiritual battle 24/7. Evil
Right.
doesn't sleep, even though we do.
Right.
Yeah, just put it on every morning, because you
Awesome.
are a shield maiden of the Most High and the Lord of armies. He's counting on you as one of his warriors, and you truly, by this dream, you are one of the warriors.
Wow. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much.
Spoken from a general too, so he doesn't say that, Mary.
No,
Wow.
don't
Okay.
say it lightly.